Okay, I'm gonna leave Discord muted while I yap. Hey guys, hello. Hi. It's been a minute. 2.0. So, since Tanner already got a sub in, I should tell you guys 10 subs and I will eat a fucking Dr. Pepper peep. And I hate fucking peeps, but I love Dr. Pepper. I do already have the peeps on hand. I will hydrate. Thank you, Cassie. Wait, K-Bonk didn't open. Fuck. All the babies. Why didn't K-Bonk open? Hold on, we will have the hydrate here in just a second. But guys, this is a 2.0. I don't have handcuffs set back up yet, but I will have that next stream. On Twitter? No, I did not. Here, I'm gonna unmute Discord so that I'm not just talking to myself like a crazy person.
Nah, she is. She's crazy. What are you talking about?
I don't
stream.
I don't post going live on Twitter. Oh wait, I'm still streaming on Discord. I just realized I'm still streaming on Discord. What? But yay, Tanner on the 7 streak. Yeah. I did bingo stuff for that. But here's the full model. I'm gonna do a test bonk for hydrate so Cassie can help me with stuff still.
It's so pretty.
So, oh fuck, my awkwardness is hitting. I did all the texture edits. Mochi did the overlays. Although I got to learn to animate.
Yes, I'm so proud of you.
Yay! I don't know when I'll get a custom model, but eventually. I am on the list. Yeah, I'm being licked. Oh fuck! I forgot to set that up on StreamerBot.
Oh.
Oh fuck. Hello.
We love stuff.
Model. Main. I had them set up and ready to go for that. I knew there was a step I was forgetting. Duplicate sub action. There's lick. What the heck?
You better not have a cooldown on lick, or I swear to goodness.
There should not be a cooldown on lick at all. Hang on though. I see a spooter. There was a spooter. Googly eyes. Bonk.
What is that? What are you? Oh. Cassie died here. Huh?
Oh?
I found your death marker, I guess.
Oh.
Jinx. Oh, hi Tiff. That's not Jinx. Okay, I'm moving that. Why is lick not procking?
Because it smells bad.
You should have. Eh?
Don't worry, I got points to spend if I need to keep going.
Oh no, I will be refunding your points.
No.
Oh no, I know what it is. They're all for the 1.2.
Oh no.
Guess how many points I have without looking? I'm gonna say like 5,000, Tanner, because you spend yours quite frequently.
What are you?
You know what? I do not mind working on this on stream. So y'all are gonna get to watch me set stuff back up.
Oh, I'm
Because
dying.
I am goofy and I got head pats. Wrong 6K. I was close. Okay, great. All items. I think that should count, Tanner. I was very close.
I don't know why, but watching you like put the googly eye on and watching it get bigger was like frightening for me.
Sable. Ma'am, did you have to bark? Nice too. Remove all items from scene. There's the stinky.
This count as a collab for Vixie? Question mark.
Yeah, does this count as a
Yes.
collab? Yay. Even though this is so far just me fixing things. This is fine. Oh god, this means I gotta set up the hand next.
The hand? The claw.
No, the squishy hand.
Oh, that was frightening too.
Why was that frightening?
Just reaching towards you like that. I'm easily frightened, is what I'm learning.
Okay, bald is working. I'm seeing eyes. Squish. That, and then I just have to fix the lick one.
What's that? Archaic bricks? What the fuck is that? Gold crystal seed?
Aw. I promise we will be getting to Minecraft soon.
Toggles are more important, trust.
The scuff needs fixed. There, I'm being nicked.
Yay! I want to break it, but I'm also scared what happens if I break it.
Okay.
I'm breaking it.
Select. Move all items from scene. It's a good thing I planned on showing off the other outfits anyways.
Hell yeah.
Because that'd be a damn shame if I couldn't set up the other stuff right now. All right. There you go. You filthy animals.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Gorgeous.
all I gotta do is go set the right item scene back to for like all my toggles. I just have to go. I set up the item scenes for one. I can set them up for the others. But this is the maid outfit. I may tweak it.
I'm clapping.
Yay! I don't know. Mochi's favorite one's coming up next.
Ah.
There's a full body view. And I'm gonna new mount to get the other one. Alright, so I couldn't give you guys full leotard because TOS reasons. Twitch don't like VTuber hits. So this is what y'all got. I think it looks good. Did I just hear mother?
Mother.
Mommy? Sorry. Mommy? Sorry.
Yes.
You look amazing. Yay! Nope, I'm being hey, it works. Alright, and then squish is good. Ah. There we go, I fixed all of them. I gotta remember if I gotta fix them in StreamerBot still. Okay, lick is good. Head pats, I need to fix them on StreamerBot side now. Duplicate. Bunny. Hats. Duplicate. Made. Duplicate, and then that one should be made. Okay, lick's good. Head pats is good. Bald, I need to set up too. Although I feel like none of you want to see the bald.
I already like what I'm seeing, so why am I like this, dude?
I don't know. Something about bunnies.
I fucking love bunny girls.
I haven't forgotten that I duo chat the IRL bunny stream.
That's fucking right.
Yeah, as soon as the spooters are gone. Which, that is soon. We have the consultation for that on Wednesday, I think? Let's see. Handcuff will be set out. We'll set up later. Disable that for right now. Ah, Stinky. That was the one I was missing. Chat's favorite. I promise I am almost done fixing things. We will get to the Minecraft within the hour.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, no, just 5 minutes of Minecraft. That's all y'all get. Alright. I need Twitch to stop pausing my stream for me. Alright, let's go back to the main. I need to set up hotkeys for that again. Alright, we can finally get to the Minecraft. The Minecrafts. Yay.
Oh, I'm so fucking dead, man.
Oh.
No. might be okay.
Here, I'll turn up my music a little bit for background music. Oh, my nether word's good. Oh yeah, I gotta get stuff. I love how the last time I went somewhere on the server, I was going mining and I had to go and like make sure Mochi didn't die to a warden again.
Don't worry, I fear I may be heading into warden territory again soon.
Oh god.
Unintentionally.
Oh, I need my rockets. Well, I'm gonna go a different direction, so if you need assistance, good luck. It spreads.
Oh.
Oh.
Oh. What the fuck?
You are in warden territory again. Chat, for anyone who doesn't know, this is the Spirit Vale server. We set it up the other day on a fucking whim to play Minecraft and... Yeah. Oh god, why is our wandering trader just invis? Ow. Oh fuck, it's a baby. It's a child. Why are you near the rail system, child? Kick the baby. Oh god, there's another. Have you never heard that Vine from back in like 2016?
I don't think so, and I was on vinyl.
I saw it with a lot of stupid anime edits.
Oh.
Like, okay, this is gonna sound horrible, but Attack on Titan. There's a scene where he fucking kicks a tiny titan, and that's where I saw it the most. Oh, that's a phantom. That's a phantom. That's a phantom. I forgot those are a thing. I've been standing here AFK for days.
How are you not dead?
Because I was inside when I was AFK.
Oh.
I just heard the hiss and ran. Yeah, I'm on fire. It's a wonder I've made it this far.
I need to get the fuck out of here, man. This shit is like literally spreading.
Oh my god. You were just gonna get to meet Mr. Warden again, aren't you?
I don't wanna.
Why do I feel like I'm muted on stream? Let me check OBS. No, I'm not muted. Okay. I was worried. I was like, damn. Yeah, our wandering traders. Not unbiz anymore.
Why do they go invisible sometimes? It's so weird.
At night, it's to protect themselves.
Oh.
I feel like I should start gathering netherite. Except for I have no idea what netherite is. I just know Zeph brings it to me with armor.
I don't think I've ever been to the Nether.
I know what we're doing now.
Oh,
We're taking Mochi through the Nether.
I found emeralds.
Oh yeah. Oh god. Okay, that's not a baby. I'm lighting up underneath the village, so we stop having mobs spawn like 24/7. Contrary to popular belief, I do not like hearing zombies 24/7. Whee! Oh, Zeph should have another portal already made.
Mm.
Okay, let me put the extra stuff up. Turn this into paper, and then I'm gonna go trade with the villagers before we go. Who did Nether?
Let me teleport home and also. Oh shit. Let me teleport to Cassie. Maybe she's at her house.
Worst case, I'm not. Hey, Stuff! You rolled an 11, and you're not daddy today? Well, that's okay. Nobody can be daddy every day. But hello, Stuff. How are you? Oh, Stuff. I didn't get a chance to set it up yet, but your favorite redeem will be back tomorrow. So right after I made my 2.0, she updated the model and put a controller redeem in. So I'll be able to use the controller redeem to put the handcuffs on.
Thank you.
So you'll be able to handcuff me again starting tomorrow.
Who's getting arrested now?
I'm not getting arrested. You're getting arrested.
Oh, wee.
Wee woo.
No,
Oh no.
not the wee woo.
They're going for Cassie.
Can we switch weather, please? It is so damn hot.
Oh, I thought you meant in game. I was like, what? Do you not want it
Same.
sunny?
No.
Sunny?
Something.
Stuff says wee woo, Cassie.
Oh no. Leave this woman alone.
I'm trying.
The wee woos are coming for Cassie.
No. No.
Handcuffs for Cassie too. You know what? We have the same customizable model. I think I can convince Cassie.
Okay, fine. I do
Actually-
have to set up my model anyway.
Actually,
So-
Stuff. I'm gonna have to switch to my screen share for this. So let me get it pulled up before I do. I may have something that can sate
no.
your need for handcuffs.
Uh-oh.
Oh no. I think I know what she's doing.
Yeah, I'm pulling
Oh,
up the
no.
picture. Screen
Oh
share.
no.
Oh, I did set it up. Yay. I was about to be like, oh no. So my
Oh
screen
my
share
God.
size is wrong, but here you go. It's an edit I did of Cassie's model. Yay.
Yay!
Get the handcuffs. Oh god, that's the wrong. You saw my desktop for a second.
Blasphemy.
My desktop is in fact not
I
a.
strive to have a desktop like yours. Clean.
Oh my god, I cannot. If it's got icons everywhere, I will be sitting here staring at my computer like, huh?
Who is this? What is this? What are you?
But I did that edit of Cassie because she tweeted something that was like, I like smelling
Sus.
VTuber feet.
Oh,
That's gonna
no.
get clipped out of context now. I just know it.
Oh no.
Cassie's getting her revenge.
Yes.
I tweeted that on the Spirit Vale account. I was like, breaking news. SV founder Cassie Bats has been charged with tospection of talents, and it just spiraled into its whole little thing. I have a Breaking Bad edit of Mochi and Cassie now that's just Breaking Bats. That's in context and is based.
I love our group, man.
I know. Our
Do y'all
baby
just give me the crackheadedest ideas, and I'm just like, yay, I know how to use Photoshop now.
gremlin ass energy.
One day, Mochi is gonna regret teaching me Photoshop. Will that day be
Nah.
soon? No. But one day.
One day.
Just not today.
Oh god, I'm gonna die.
Uh-oh.
I'm just surprised the
Hold on.
VTuber Feet Enjoyer has not found that post yet.
I know. I thought he did.
No, Hana found the post. That's different.
Oh,
That's a different VTuber feet enjoyer.
there's another one?
Yeah, there's an account just straight up dedicated to it.
Hmm. I'm scared now.
Nah, they just like posts. They're not too weird.
Hmm.
However, VTuber Armpit Enjoyer, on the other hand,
Whoa.
they followed me. And I'm like, they followed me when I got the Twin Tails model in general. And I was like, eh.
I'd
Like,
cry. I'd be like,
I just tend to ignore it. I'm just like, cool. You are here.
That's a thing.
You are here. You enjoy it. That's all we need to know about it. All right. All I know about the Nether is I'm gonna want a gold helmet on.
Why?
How do I make an armor stand?
I have some if you want.
Oh no,
A
it
bunch
sticks
of
in
them.
a smooth stone slab. I got plenty of smooth stone somewhere.
Mhm. My house came
Trying to
with,
find
like, a bunch
Cassie's
of-
channel to follow due to baseness and future handcuffings. Here you go.
Ooh.
No.
There you go, stuff.
No.
Yeah, go follow my friends. Actually, you know what? Here. Mochi rarely streams, but there's Mochi too.
Thank you.
Go follow my friends. Or I'll chew more of the cotton candy out of your walls.
Ooh.
Cotton candy.
You know, it
But I
helps
don't want cotton candy for real.
get followed, nerds. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, you're so sweet.
Hang out. Oh, it's so
Stuff.
dark back here.
Stuff will either say the weirdest shit or the most like wise shit you've ever seen.
Both. Volcano Lost Oaks.
Usually
Is
not in the
that
same
Zeph?
conversation, but
Thanks, Zeph.
Hi, Zap.
oh, hi Zeph.
Hi, Zeph.
Como Ace
Who-
Talos.
who-
Oh,
Who's
I didn't
Zeph?
see the frog appear. Hello.
Beat it.
The duality of man. Yes, Stuff is the epitome of the duality of man. Based
bet.
or unhinged. At least overly educated men.
Okay, I'm just gonna let stream.
Oh, okay. I'm about to try and get Mochi to follow me through another portal.
Okay,
Do
that
I
sounds
need
good.
a golden helmet?
I got some gold nuggets in here in my house if you want them.
I would recommend a
Good job.
gold helmet, at least.
What does it do?
Trees.
Zeph left. Dang. He didn't even say
Mm.
bye.
Okay. I am putting on a gold helmet.
Why did my phone randomly light up?
Girl, leave me alone.
Oh
No.
no. Chat. My phone died.
No.
No.
I'm on top of the roof. Can't get me now, suckers.
So here's a problem. My truck. Yeah. Hey, Zeph. Small problem. Never mind, I found the source of the problem. Hang on.
Dude, these skeletons won't leave me alone.
Oops.
Help. Ow. Fuck. That's not what I wanted. I mean, frick.
Okay, it's gonna take a minute for my phone to turn back on. But
Die.
it did die. It wasn't charging when it was on my phone stand.
Oh, shit.
Because for some reason, my power strip came unplugged from the other power strip. Small problem. I
I'll
mean,
blame
you
the
do
cats.
be short. I'm not that short, stuff.
Girl, don't play.
Yeah, don't
I
play.
am 5'3".
Girl, I'm taller than you by like 2 inches.
By 2
That's
inches.
crazy.
Excuse me, VTube Studio. Can you launch on my phone, please? I'm being bullied.
Oh, my kinkles.
Small? I'm not that small.
Small. Yeah,
Honey,
she's small.
put you in my pocket.
Bitty bitty. I'm taller than you. Uh-huh.
That's crazy.
Vixie
And I
clearly
call
3'5".
Cassie short.
VTube Studio is loading. Yay. We got scuff. Think shorter.
Let's go.
Wow. Wow, Zeph. My own husband. I am not 3.5 inches tall.
She's a gnome.
Can we get a gnome toggle?
Yeah.
I am
They're, like,
not.
trying to kill us.
I am not 3.5 inches tall.
Okay, wait a minute. So Mochi is Gandalf. And then hold on.
Shut the
I'm going.
fuck
Shut up.
up.
I am Samwise Gamgee, and then Vixie is Frodo. 'Cause I think
No.
Frodo's pretty tiny.
No. If you're gonna do that, I would be Gollum because I'm sitting here going, my precious. My
God.
precious.
I don't want to be Frodo, but I guess I'm Frodo. No, yeah, actually, wait. Hold up.
Annoyed Toggle be cute as fuck. Yeah, because the whole model's cute as fuck.
2
True.
seconds.
That make her a cutie pie? Yeah. Wait, I'm not 3.14 centimeters tall. Fuck you.
LOL.
I'll accept 3.14 meters. That's all I got. But that would make me a giant, so. Oh, Zeph. Zeph. I got tongue-tied. Zeph, while you're here, I have a thing to show you. I did something in Minecraft. So this right here is Mochi's. Mochi wanted a bridge. We made a motherfucking bridge. Was it murder? I wish. She is a cutie pie. Yay.
Hello. Goodbye.
Hi. There's Mochi.
Yeah, it doesn't stop here.
Here. This is how you stop it. Hell yeah. Oh, fuck, I missed it. Damn it.
See?
It's because I had the
It's so
torches.
hard.
Because I had the torches. Trust. Skill issue. It is a skill issue. I will hydrate. Thank you, Solora.
Take me out.
No.
Oh shit.
No.
I tried to move in time.
No.
Goodbye.
Hope your stream's been good so far. It has been, yay. Trust but failed verification. Mega, hello. Squish, yay. Oh fuck, I missed it again because I wasn't paying attention. I will get this. I will get
Yeah,
this.
I think we're gonna have to alter this a little bit for our little pea brains.
Something like
Goodbye.
I can alter it.
Damn it.
I just need a cherry block and a button. I'm scrambling my brain doing this. Stinky. Zeph, I showered today. I am not stinky and you know it.
Nah, she stinks.
Excuse me.
Stinky, it smells bad in here.
Yeah, what the hell,
Wow.
eh?
Mochi, you could have just done me a favor and flicked the lever yourself.
Oh, I was grabbing a button and a cherry block.
You could have saved me from this hell.
Nah,
you're
you're
stuck.
stuck.
Get my torch back. Okay, so how we're gonna do this
No.
is we're gonna let this come to a stop up here. And then I'm just gonna put the buttons here. Actually, we'll just give them walking room. So I need dirt to fill in the holes. Oh, thank you. Bonk. I will need a... I can move this powered rail. Excuse me, no. Get back here, button. Wow, Zeph. I see you. You're being stinky.
He always stinky.
I have to go get dirt.
Bro, I have a chest full of it. Please use it.
Oh, you gotta go. Bye, Cassie.
Bye, Cassie.
Raid time. Yay. Alright. Join me in stinky. No, I'm not gonna join you in being stinky. It's not my fault you didn't shower. You had plenty of opportunity today, sir. I love how it said I was going to take Mochi to the Nether and this devolved into fixing the rails.
Yo, it's
kinda-
Minecraft. Anything can happen.
It kind of is. How is it my fault? Am I just supposed to hose Zeph down on the daily?
Yes.
Alright. You heard chat, Zeph. As soon as you get home, you're getting hosed down. Gonna take you out into the yard. Turn on the hose, maybe the pressure washer.
Ooh.
I'll stand a good distance away. It's fine. Zeph's gonna be like, you know damn well not to do that. I will hydrate. Thank you, Mega. Fuck, where'd the minecart go? I'm playing a dangerous game right now. I'm being squished. Oh wait, I can just... Yeah, I'm being squished. You're gonna be hosed back? What do you mean I'm gonna be hosed back? I'm behaving. I built a rail system. You should be proud of me. Boobs, yes. I said thank you for the 3 stream streak. Mega. Newish boobs. Yes, new boobs. And I got this side of the minecart zeffed. And this one doesn't have a lever for me to fuck up. Whee! Whee! Yes, the hills were totally necessary. I like the new model. Thank you. We have this one. Take us over to Honk's church. And then we got all the way over here.
Honk has decorated her church yet.
I can tell you in here just church. Yes, Honk made a church on the server. Are there nuns? Honk is the nun. Honk is our favorite underground clown themed SoundCloud rapper. But she's also a vampire maid, so. Oh, there's Mochi. There's Honk's puppy. Proud I'm just not a roller coaster peep. We're just gonna hold our cult meetings from in here from now on. You had me a
Does she still
vampire
have that
maid.
dirt house?
I think she does. Oh, she added more. Hello.
I can't wait to see how she decorates this. This is insane.
I can't remember if Honk has a underscore in her Twitch username, or I would link hers. Oh, she does still have the.
Oh, goodbye.
I got my elytra on. We're fine. Honk's domain. Continued forward and face destruction. Oh, there's terror in Honk's beds. They got beds together. Oh. Fuck. Scandalous. That's the word I was looking for. Luxury Dirt House by MTV Cribs. Got some
God, I fucking
pumpkins.
love Honk.
Some trees. Oh, why is there music?
Yeah, the music started playing for me too.
Oh, hello, horse. Hello, raccoon. There's a window. Nice little sunset. You know, that's my next project after the Nether. We're just gonna make a big ass roller coaster.
That would be lit.
And accidentally. Terror's chest, no steel, please. Have a potato terror. Yeah, we're getting away from this music.
It's so loud.
It really is. I don't know what it is. Nice little. Yeah, I'm gonna sleep before we go to the Nether. Oh, kinetic energy. Oh, hello. I haven't decorated the upstairs of my house yet. Oh, it's still daytime. Ew.
This is very empty. Holy.
Yeah, I kind of got psyched out by the having to add more lanterns. It's so pink.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
My shit is still not finished.
I mean, it looks good though. We all went like pink. I'm going back in. I'm just showing. I know something else that's
I'm
pink.
going to triple B's. Whoa.
Wink, wink. Wink, wink. Nudge, nudge, Mega. My favorite wife. I like how stuff's just like pigs. Piggies? Well, let me sleep. Let me in bed.
Man, y'all are so creative with your builds.
I found a YouTube video for mine.
Oh.
That's all I did. It was a YouTube. Himalayan salt. Well, let me in the bed. In bed, please. It's dark outside. Why can't I sleep? Pepto-Bismol. There we go. Oh, chat. I spent like a solid 20 minutes before stream just trying to find an invisible warden. Pony club? Is it a pink pony club? I'm gonna keep on dancing down in West Hollywood. Yeah, sure, we'll say those. That is not the type of pink Mega means stuff. Gotta get a little spicier for that. Wait, Mochi, where'd you go?
Whoa, I'm coming back.
Eh. Oh, I see the minecart going. I see Mochi.
Hello.
Mochi is arriving. All right. Going on an adventure.
Okay.
I feel like you need more armor than just that.
No, it'll be okay.
All right, if you're sure. I really hope Zeph finished this portal over here. That's gonna kind of suck if not. Oh, he did. I'm flying over with my Elytra. Good luck.
I'll be there in a second.
I'll wait to see Mochi follow.
Coming.
Finished. It just connects to 2 different portals. Okay, cool. Mochi, this is her first time going to the Nether, so we're gonna judge Zeph's portal skills harshly.
I'm scared.
Step in the portal. Gonna get all swirly for a second.
Oh,
Hello. You can walk out of the portal now.
oh,
Yep, you just walk out of it.
ooh.
Welcome to hell. Literally.
It's spooky here.
It do be spooky.
My texture pack makes this look like brain matter, and it's scary.
Oh my god, this is why I don't use texture packs in the Nether. I'm like... So, Zeph, what do we need to look for? I'm collecting gold. Zeph, what do you look for netherite? I don't know what we're looking for this. Whatever you want to look for. I'm looking for netherite. I don't understand how netherite works. And I'm personally making it your problem.
Damn.
Ancient debris. Does that just spawn in the netherrack? Is it like diamonds?
No. No. Go away. Will the lost souls hurt me?
I don't think so.
Oh.
Okay, so it is just in the netherrack. It's just free balling out here.
Soul sand.
Entry every level another. Very rare to find. Okay, cool. Yeah, soul sand is what I use to grow nether wart.
Ooh.
You know what would be fun to play as a group?
What?
Schedule 1.
Yes. I love Schedule 1.
I do too. I love becoming the neighborhood crack mixer.
Yes.
And the tail on the Vixie. I don't have a tail stuff. I could though. If you ask nicely. I mean, what? Yeah. We didn't say anything.
Where'd tail go in?
I don't know what tail you're talking about. I'd like to play with bigger group. I mean, you, me, Mochi, and Cassie would be like full lobby crackheadedness. Mega can attest to how insane my grow operation for oh fuck, I don't even remember which way is up. Mega has seen the crack operation I grow. So is Zeph. It gets large. You can only fit so many plugs. Oh my god.
They added mushrooms? Oh shit. What is that? There's a
I
bear
lost
looking
Mochi.
thing.
I see a
What are
magma
you?
cube. I do, I'm
You're
impressed.
stuck. I killed it.
I killed a wraith.
Mushrooms were kind of fun. I kind of wish I played with them more. What the fuck is that?
What the fuck? That hurts me to
It's
kill.
like a bird.
That was a... I lost track of Mochi. Where are you? No, yeah, I'm
You're
sorry.
not even on my mini map.
Yeah, you're not on mine anymore either. Not the puppo. I'm sorry, the foxhound had to go. It was biting me. It was biting my ankles stuff. I'm the ankle biter, not the ankle bitey.
I'm back by the portal.
Oh, I see you.
Oh, there you are. Wait, no. Yes.
Hi. You're not gonna attack me because I'm
Yeah.
wearing gold. Yee.
Really?
That's why we're wearing the gold. Those things will still attack though. Oh fuck. I need to eat. The puppo had to go again. But that's why the gold helmet.
That's
Ow.
interesting. Yeah, this is the thing that attacked me.
We got it.
You little frick. What is that thing?
That is a magma cube. Like slimes, just
Ooh,
on fire.
I see.
I'm sorry, stuff. If I could have avoided killing the papa, I would. Full sludge. Hello, weird thing. Ow. Oh, fuck, that was you.
See me?
I just hit Mochi by accident.
That's okay.
Something hit me and I thought it was you, but not you, if that makes
Something
sense.
hit me too. It might have been you.
That was me.
Okay.
Okay, I'm just putting out the fire so I can get the glowstone above us.
Okay. I don't know what nether quartz is for, but I'm getting it.
It's just decorative, basically.
Oh, I like decor.
It turns into like a white, smooth, solid substance. I'm not leaving it there.
Oh, whoa, whoa.
I heard that. I knew that was coming. I stopped myself and I changed it to where you guys can't
Girl.
restore stuff. Redstone stuff. Oh, it has a purpose
Nether
beyond
quartz is
looking.
for redstone?
It has a purpose beyond looking pretty. Does that mean I have a purpose beyond looking pretty?
No.
Damn. Yes, it does. No, I'm getting mixed signals here, guys. So, do I have a vein goblin trader?
What?
Hello, buddy. I don't have anything you want, but actually, hang on. I can get you. Do you have how much netherrack do you have? This
Here you
stuff.
go. Oh shit. Here you go. Oh, I think that was it.
Yeah. Cool. Hi, buddy. We got an emerald from him.
Hey.
Thank you, buddy.
Were you gonna kill him?
No.
Oh, okay.
I was worried he was gonna try and kill me first. Did they drop anything? Not that I saw. How is it smaller than Vixie? Because I'm not that tiny. As long as we don't hit the piglins, we're good.
Will they all come after us if we do?
Think they will. Zev would
No,
have
I
to
don't vibe
confirm.
with that.
I mean, to be fair, if somebody hit you or Cassie,
What's that?
huh? Oh, it's the foxhound. It's the puppy.
I'm sorry, I had to kill it.
Yeah, they do kind of aggro. I don't know where we're going other than hunting down ancient debris.
You know, I don't know where we're going either.
I'm just here, dude. I'm sorry, stuff. If the puppy didn't keep biting ankles. Ooh, gold.
Oop, I got
Yeah.
turned around. Oh, okay.
Oh no, I'm literally just in the tunnel next to you. Hello.
Hey. This place looks like intestines, and I don't like it.
Well, maybe a different texture pack for while we're in here. That might be a good idea. I feel like I found
What
one
is
of.
that?
Oh, hello. I feel like I found a Zeph tunnel. What am I supposed to confirm?
I found silt.
I don't know, hun. I'm just here at this point. Oh, that's soul sand. I just meant that
So-
I was with a customer. How long ago did you hear me ask for confirmation? The Piglin's group. I'm not a bully.
Mm,
I'm just saying, if somebody hit one of you guys, I could understand the group murder.
that's so much lava.
Yeah, there's a lot of lava around us.
What is that thing? It's so big.
What thing?
I can't really see it, but it's in the lava.
Don't hit Hoglins give gold. I mean, I'm flattered. Oh no. Not in the lava. What do you mean not in the lava? So I feel like I found one of Zeph's tunnels.
Oh fuck, my pickaxe broke.
That's okay, I'm on my way. Tell everybody I'm on my way. I don't know the rest of that song. That's all I know from TikTok.
The one time I don't have iron on me, man. Frickle.
Well, you've been to the nether. I would not be disappointed if you turned back now. Because I
don't
kind of
wanna.
lost track of where you were, so.
Yeah, that's okay. I do be kind of going in my own direction sometimes.
Get out of my tunnel. I did get out of your tunnel. I was digging my own tunnel, and I fell down into your tunnel. Not my fault we share a brain cell. This is why I'm married to you.
Does iron exist in the nether?
No, unfortunately.
Oh no.
She ruined your tunnel? No, I didn't. I did not ruin anything. His tunnel's intact. I mean, we can find like bastions and stuff.
Holy shit.
Oh, did you make one out of gold?
Deletes this stuff. Yeah. That didn't last very long.
Oh, I don't have the stuff to make the crafting table.
I have
Ow.
a crafting table in my backpack. But, you know.
Soul Sludge hurts.
Oh.
Oh, hello, I see obsidian spikes. I found bone blocks. I'm gonna take these. Because that's gonna be a shit ton of bone meal.
You know what? I'm cheating. I'm going home. Somehow. Fuck.
Why don't
How
you
do I
just
go home?
jump in the lava and like mark yourself for that?
Goodbye, cruel world.
Why do I feel like we're about to see Mochi just flop? Well,
See ya. Alright. I'm gonna come back with more than one pickaxe.
hell yeah.
Hmm.
Oh.
How do I get back to the portal? That's the question.
So you see that little lava spot in the lower right part of the map?
Yes. Oh, yes, okay.
That is where we were. Zeph better be proud of my creative rocket use. Oh, hello. Why is there Enderman in the nether?
Oh,
Whew. All I'm gonna say, Zeph should be proud of me. Is that like a spinning Eevee stuff?
what is that? Actually,
Hang
what
on,
is
where-
this?
Oh, that's the Twilight Forest.
Oh, I don't want to go in there.
Oh, it's a different VTubers Pedro emote. The ears
Oh,
just made it look like Eevee.
yeah.
Pedro, Pedro, Pedro. I hear a
Girl,
ghast.
don't age us now.
What do you mean ages? That was like a meme last year.
Oh, okay. I thought you said badger, 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 and I was like,
No, I said the Pedro meme from last year.
oh, okay. No, I just aged myself. So let me
Well,
find my
damn.
nearest lava pit.
Mushroom, mushroom. I feel like that's a reference that I just don't get.
Oh.
Ooh, a snake. I don't know. It's a snake. It's a slippery snake. I'll make you a bet. What is this bet before I agree to it? Because I've learned my lesson with you. Ow, 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 ow. Why did that wraith sound like a cat? Find at least 2 ancient debris in 1 hour.
Oh no.
Taco Bell's on
And
the
before
line,
it's
Mochi.
not even in the nether.
No, ancient debris is in the nether. That's all I know about it. I hear a fucking ghast.
Man, we gotta get you that Taco Bell.
Oh, why is this netherrack trolling me with gold flex? Ghasts are cute. They are cute. They just shoot fire at me, and I don't feel like dealing with fire right now. Ooh, mushrooms. What do you mean, doll? Even cuter? I mean, we can take them back to the overworld and make happy ghasts, I think. And you can have help from Mochi. Okay.
Heck yeah.
Alright, between the two of us, we each just have to find one. Can I use Google, Zeph? Is that an option for me?
No.
No, I mean like to confirm that we're not just looking in the wrong areas.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm not gonna like put the seed in to find all the netherrack spawns. Well, the nether ore spawns. Or whatever the fuck it's called.
Gloria?
Sludge ball. I don't want that. Soul quartz.
I
Can I-
almost fell to my death.
Can I also just give myself a crafting table, hun? Oh no. No, okay, yeah. What do you mean, no, okay, yeah? Okay, hang on. Before we... fuck. Vixie crafting table 1. Yay. Oh, no.
That's bad. Oh, that's so bad. Oh no, I'm turned around. Oh no. Oh, I'm safe. God, I'm so bad at this. Oh my god.
Table, why are you just sitting there in front of the heater?
This needs to go on my bar like now.
What do you mean, hold on? I'm holding.
Oh, it's very pink over here.
My strange addiction and this mom is addicted to breastfeeding her kids. The oldest is 7.
I've
Jesus
totally
Christ.
seen that episode, dude. So weird.
People
Oh, I
are
found a portal.
freaky.
Is that Zev?
Oh, it is Zeph.
Hi, Zev.
Hi, Zeph.
Here's how it works.
Oh,
You can
no.
use Google. You can give yourself a crafting table. Since Mochi is helping you, it has to be 2 apiece.
Oh god.
Oh, God.
So good luck. And yeah, Taco Bell's on the line.
We're gonna get you that Taco Bell, girl.
Oh, yeah, we are. I just Googled. Look at Y level 15.
I don't know how to do that.
Go back out to your menu.
My menu?
No, like your non-map menu. Look beneath the mini-map. Hell yeah, I'll take some bloodstone
Oh?
bricks.
I don't know what this means. I'm looking below my minimap. Oh, shit.
Look at the center coordinate.
43. Hello, Zev.
And I should have also mentioned that if you find ancient debris in a chest or even netherite scraps, ingots, they do not count.
Okay.
What the hell?
Yeah, you actually have to find it.
I
Take a
don't
look.
even know what this shit looks like.
I don't either.
Ancient debris in your JEI, and you'll find what it looks like.
I have that shit turned off if I'm not.
Well, then just Google what ancient debris looks like.
Oh. Okay.
Froggy boy. Yeah, it's Zephyr.
Huh?
Uh,
Oh,
Steph pointed out your.
I forgot my Fuki. Yeah.
Yeah, you have your little frog Fugi that I drew.
I miss Fuki.
I hear your coworkers just doxing you in the background.
Yeah.
It's cute. Yeah. He really likes frogs, so that's why his username's Frogsy Zephyr. I'm worried that I'm gonna tunnel down into fucking lava.
Yeah, please don't pull me.
Froggos are neat. Yeah. Alright. Blackstone. Oh shit, you weren't kidding. That's gravel.
Pew. It's very blue over here now.
Blue,
miss the pink.
die. Oh, they don't last long though.
I'm so afraid that I'm gonna like miss it, dude.
Same.
Oh, it's another shit.
Single block rare if you find a 2-vein.
There's a portal here.
Yeah,
You
hi,
guys
nice.
Leave or
You can leave through a portal if there is one. Hello, nice. How is you?
I know stuff spinning here. The fuck was that? Are you okay?
Lava. Lava happened.
No.
I'm okay. I'm alive.
Mochi, be careful. There are 2 portals. One will link you back to the old village. One will link you to the current area.
Oh.
Yeah.
I feel like I found your path. There's a lot of just straight line bridges.
Okay, yeah, that is the old portal. If you look... Hold on, let me look at your... Here, I'll try to guide you. Okay. Oh, you're going towards the fortress.
I don't know what this means.
Okay, so look at my portal down there.
Uh-huh.
Okay, at that portal, if you go up the mountain and a little bit to the left from it, you'll find the portal to the current village.
Okay. Is it bad to go this way?
There's a lot of mobs there that will kill you.
Oh. Okay. I'll try not to go that way then.
There's blazes, there's magma cubes, there's wither skeletons, regular skeletons. You know, all
You know,
the...
I ain't trying to die today. Again.
Yeah, there's a lot over there.
I want to find this heckin' block.
You want to get Taco Bell that bad?
Oh my god.
Bro, it's Taco
Try
Bell
not-
on the line.
I need to breathe for a second. Holy shit.
Hey, hun, should I be worried about seeing Blackstone?
No, that's fine.
Oh, sweet Jesus, that is more lava.
Yep. It's everywhere in the Nether when you're searching specifically for ancient debris.
That's more.
You know, I'm just gonna like sit here and enjoy the fact that you have until basically 11:20 to do this.
Man, it's my first time in here and you're giving me freaking tasks.
Yeah, this is Mochi's first time in the Nether.
Oh, like ever?
Yeah.
What is that?
Okay. Well, Mochi, as a like kind of a FYI, with you having the bunny boots, you can jump up a 2-block wide gap.
Yes. What the fuck is? Oh my god, what is happening? What
It's
is that
draining
thing?
your soul.
Oh,
Alright.
he's a wraith. He was cute.
But good luck.
Thank
It's
you.
not too difficult.
I don't believe you.
I also don't believe him.
I'll
Oh,
explain
the
why I
fuck?
have almost full netherite right now.
Hacks. That's my
Oh,
guess.
what are you? What are you? What are you?
Oh, that's that weird Enderman.
Oh fuck!
Good luck.
God damn it!
Hey, Mochi. Before you teleport back to me, can you go to my house and grab several diamonds? I have several in my
I can do
chest.
that.
Just that way we can
What do we need diamonds for?
more pickaxes. I have a shit ton of sticks on me.
Oh, okay. Should I teleport to you or should I?
I'm in
go
a
to the
safe
portal?
spot, so you can teleport to me.
Okay. Diamond. Oh fuck! God damn it!
Oh god,
Wait,
the
no, I
music's
shouldn't have picked
back.
them up. It is back. What's happening?
Take some steps back. There you go. That was from my chest, or is that part of that yours?
Oh, I just grabbed it from mine.
Oh, well, fuck. There's a pickaxe.
Thank you.
You think you're gonna need 2 or just 1?
You know, I'll take a second one knowing me.
Yeah, just in case.
Thank you.
I think
Oh,
2
good
diamond
mindset.
picks a person should be plenty. I'm gonna uncraft those gold pickaxes. I'm just gonna... I'm at this block right here is the right Y level, so I'm just going for it.
I'm gonna choose a direction and go.
Just be careful. Keep some regular blocks in your like in your hotbar in case you run into lava.
I'm scared, Mom.
I found one.
You did?
Yeah.
Girl.
Come look at what it looks like for you.
Oh, I'm coming, I'm coming.
Baby's first ancient debris. Hi, Melodon.
Damn, that should take a while to break.
Oh, it does actually require a diamond pick. Gold would make for a terrible pickaxe. It goes pretty quickly in the nether. Alright, we got one this way. I'm feeling lucky.
We need 4 total?
Yes, 2 apiece.
That's crazy.
I wonder if he'll count it considering I found the first. Hey, I found a second one.
Oh, let's go.
Hey, Zeph.
Balloon destruction.
Zeph, I found another one. Can I have my Taco Bell?
Yeah. Get her Taco Bell.
I found 2 all by myself. Mochi was helping, but I found my 2 first.
I ain't gonna take no credit for that.
Hey, you brought me diamond. That is why I said, oh no. Oh no.
I was too slow.
Why I say keep some in your hot bar.
Bad at this game.
This is how we
Are
get
you
better.
safe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hang on, I'm gonna go back that way. Oh, hello. I'm gonna go back that way and see if I can... I'm assuming you went this way. Well, this way.
Yes. And then I think I took a right.
Yeah. Okay.
Man, how did you find 2 back to back?
They were just down that same straight stretch. Bye, Melodon. Actually, I'm gonna tunnel back towards where I was. That way I don't have to run all the way back through the tunnels. Maybe we'll find some. You need 4 for 1 ingot. Okay. Well, hun, I found 2 by myself. Can I have the Taco Bell anyways now?
Get her Taco Bell, I swear to God. Oh, fuck. Beep. Beep.
I need 2. You did not say ingots. You said 4 ancient debris.
That is what he said. Don't let him change it.
No. You said 4 ancient debris total. 2 apiece. Don't be changing the rules of the game.
He's just mad because you found it right away. Shit.
He just mad I found it quickly. And I bet you, if I keep going this way, I'm gonna find more of it.
Shit.
Oh no, well, I will keep going for this. Like, I'll keep getting more. I just want my
What do
Taco
you
Bell
need
that I
it
was
for?
from. It upgrades tools and armor.
Oh.
Another sword stronger than diamond sword. In case you find another ancient city. Also, hun, part of Mochi's find one alone. I did find one alone. I did good. I'm gonna give myself a backpack.
Yeah, they're litty for ready. If you can, make a diamond one.
We're just gonna... Actually, wait. What do I need for it?
I hear like a crying child. What the hell was that?
I don't know what it is. But I hear it too. I'm hoping it's just ambient. Diamond backpack. You know what? Oh, the thing's getting louder.
It's scary down here.
I don't like that it's getting louder. Zeph, should I be worried? Hi, Tanner.
Shit.
The kid I hear. Oh, I just saw that. There's so many red names in chat right now. Dear Lord. Stuff is red for me. Mega's red for me. Zeph's red. Tanner's red. Who else is red? Like every name in chat is red for me right now, except for my own. Nah, just the wind. I feel like it's... Hey, I found a third one.
Oh, lit. No you didn't. I found it, actually.
Oh no, Zeph already said I'm still getting the Taco Bell. We're good.
Oh, okay.
He just didn't believe in me.
Fuck, now I want Taco Bell. Fuck, I don't know if Mochi would go out this late to get Taco Bell.
Mogi,
Mochi,
get this.
would you go out this late to get Taco Bell? Taco Bell? Don't. Please. Please.
This is like peak Taco Bell hours, Mogi.
Right. Dixie's getting Taco Bell, and it would be so cute if we got Taco Bell together.
I'm not getting it this second. I gotta wait till Zeph gets off work, so.
I can go if you want. Man, I just wanted to find one of these blocks.
Well, Zeph was like, yeah, they're really rare. Finds three.
In like 15 minutes.
Ouchie.
Don't die, please.
I'm not gonna die. I already blocked it off. I just gotta wait for the fire to go out. As a dwarf, you'd find rare stones
I found
easy.
one.
Yay! That puts us at 4 total. So stuff,
Oh,
I am not a
yes.
dwarf. Get fricked, stuff. I'm not that short. Find it and I'll teach y'all to make netherite. Alright. Hey, Hun, I found 2 back to back. Found 3. Oh my god. We're at 7. That's a vein, holy shit. Yeah, you said it was rare.
Oh, let me check.
You gotta be proud of a girl. And I'm not using hacks. I'm found mostly singles. Were they hot singles? I'm very proud, yay. I thought I misread that at first. I was like, what if Zeph said I'm very concerned? In my area? Yeah, stuff. Sadly, no hot singles. What do you mean, sadly? Excuse me, sir, you are married. Only my smoking hot wife fix. Yeah, you tell him.
Alright, I'm gonna go get Taco Bell. I'll be back in like 15-20 minutes.
Hell yeah. Mochi getting the victory Taco Bell.
Yes.
So now our goal is to get 36. We don't need to, but we want to. I was hopeful for a second. That's brimstone. More brimstone. I yearn for the mines. Yay. Why do I feel like I'm going past some? Do. I'm still so proud of this. I secured my Taco Bell. Bonk, 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 bonk. This has got to be very boring for chat. First stream back and we're just ADHD mining. Yeah, y'all totally have missed this. I know y'all missed me. I can't wait for the new emotes to be done, dude. It's like, I have been holding off on the mouth, but also see white source. Shut up. Oh no, nice. Zeph will not. I think I've told you before, Zeph's comments, well, the comments, as long as they stay towards the model, are perfectly okay. Completely honest, I'm playing Siege with a girl I like, so you're just background noise. Wow, I've been replaced by an IRL girl. Wait, Tanner, is this the girl that you wanted to ask to prom? How did that go? We need updates, Tanner. We are fiending for updates. Getting absolutely dunked on. Yeah, no, I kind of want to know too. Are you winning? Are you winning, son? Hey, I found another one. Oh, I got another vein. I got another 3 vein. Holy shit. Different girl because that one's talking to someone else? Damn. That's okay. You tried. And you moved on. That is like my second 3 vein of ancient debris. I thought Zeph said those were rare. Ooh, gold. Yes, give me gold. I need backups for in case I run out of diamonds. Yes, the fuck I did. That is the best way to do it. Get dunked on. Yay, more gold. Almost 2 hours. Oh, it's bright in here. Well, I got 9. Baby's first time getting netherite. And then Mochi has, I think, what? 3? I'm literally just changing directions when I get close to lava. That's all I'm doing special. Alright, I will admit I'm short if I get another 3 vein of ancient debris. How about that, chat? I'll let the ancient debris determine if I am short. I really thought the soul sand was ancient debris for a second and I was about to cry. God, I kind of miss the old netherrack. Oh, hello. Some number spray or double glove. Plugged it like 20. Oh my god, Stealth. God, I would need a lot of lube if that were the case. Hey, I got one. Okay, that one's not in a vein. The ancient debris hasn't trolled me yet. What the fuck did I just hear? That was... Duff was telling Zeph to either double glove or ask your doctor for some numbing spray. Which, if he does that, then we're gonna need a lot more lube in this household. That is all I gotta say about it. Wait, I'm gonna go back. Oh, that's gravel. Okay. Soul sand. I thought I missed that for a second. I was gonna cry if I missed fucking ancient debris. Hey, at least the ancient debris hasn't called me short yet. That is a perk. I did say if we get another 3 vein, I will admit to being short, but that hasn't happened yet, so I am not short. I thought that was about to be another 3 vein. The soul sand keeps psyching me out. Oh, we're going back towards the scary music now. I really don't like how loud that is. Don't like how loud that is, but that's okay. Okay, so to get here, I can turn this way, hit that, hit you down, and then go. Wee. I think that's what's getting me all this ancient debris is just, I'm like, I'm just going in a straight line for as long as I can before having to turn. God, I remember back when I was like 14, I was like so upset that Obsidian did not make a pickaxe that I went and made a mod that you could craft like 9 obsidian blocks into obsidian dust to make a mod. We'll make a pickaxe. And then I did the same thing with emeralds, but I made 1 give 3 dust instead because I had so much of a harder time finding emeralds. And then I completely forgot Java for the longest time after that. I learned to code for 1 fucking mod, and I never updated it after. I don't even have a copy of that mod anymore. And I don't even think I understood how to like change the durability and stuff. That sucks. You see my mod? You haven't seen like... Wait, no, you have seen that mod, Zeph. I had it still on my PC when we got together. I showed it to you. I had to boot up an old version of Minecraft and re-download Forge for that version too. 'Cause it was in 1.7.10. God, that feels so long ago. You know what I should do? I should learn to... I should learn Minecraft modding again. Or Sims 4 modding. But I should just make it my crack at it. With the islands of the demo world? Oh my god, yeah, you had me find the seed for that too. No, but like, remember the mod I showed you when we first got together? That was like the obsidian armor and like pickaxe and an emerald pickaxe? That's all it did. By any chance do you remember that? Yeah, I made that. I don't think I told you I made that because I thought you were going to bully me over it. It was nice. I'm going to take this lantern. Fuck. Oh god, ow, ow, ow. Well, this was an unexpected turn of events. No, I want this door. I miss 1.8 combat? I don't. I do not miss 1.8's combat. God, does anybody else remember when fucking blocking them off during mid-combat was the fucking play? I feel like that was pre 1.8. Bonk, bonk. You know what I kind of want to do someday? Okay, so we're gonna... So remember I came in from there. I already went that way. Hello, Obsidian. Speaking of, my old mod. Dude, like, I was that edgy 14-year-old who was like, I want all the dark and uncolorful things. Like, it's not a phase, Mom. It still wasn't a phase music-wise. I am still very much so a low-energy goth girl, IRL. But, like... What do you mean? I just said it was like... Okay. I don't complain if there's not an emo-ish alternative, if that makes sense now. Like, I suck it up and I deal with it like an adult. Oh, I see a skeleton in there. I saw blazes through one of these. Oh, hello. Ouchie. Oh no. Dementia Raven Way? No. No, I wasn't that bad, thankfully. I definitely would have renamed myself Raven or something if I could have, though. Weather skeleton rattles. Hell yeah. Okay. I need to find my way back to my tunnel. That's enough exploring this fortress for now. Okay, so I need to head down this way and then back. Wrong way. Yeah, there's the weird lava. You know what? I'm gonna take all these mushrooms. For potion making. But dude, no, I was the absolute menace with that stuff. Like, I wasn't as bad as, like, those girls in high school that you could really tell they believed it, but, like... You know? I don't know if that makes sense at all. Like, my childhood best friend, oh my god, she genuinely believed that shit. Like, she was not well, kind of obsessed with it. I was just the stereotypical, I listened to emo music, wore dark clothing, and heavy makeup teenager. Who insisted it wasn't a phase, and spoiler, it wasn't. But it also kind of was, because, like, I'm not as edgy as I used to be, if that makes sense. Mochi and Cassie have seen pictures of me from that age, and dear lord. Ah, Jinx, you are one stinky boy. Two point oh so beautiful. No, you, Jess. Hello. I am just farming for ancient debris in the nether. But how is you? How are you, Jess? Oh god, ads. I can't wait to go home and play. Heck yeah. I'm sorry, you have to work. Yes, beautiful queen. Hey, hun, now that you're back, do you want to guess how many ancient debris I'm up to now? Mochi's getting Taco Bell. Listening while doing my count. Yeah, I get 10 now. I don't remember how much Mochi's doing. Oh? Is that lava under me or over me? Ooh. That lava's not, though. Well. Okay, so... one more. Lava under. I figured. It was one of the two. You know, after I said that if I got another 3 vein of ancient debris, that I'd, accept that I was short, I stopped getting 3 veins. I think that's something we should all acknowledge. And maybe accept that I am not short. But I did find another fortress. I feel like I'm starting to miss them again. Alternatively, you are still short. Regardless of your mission? No. No, I'm not short. Birth Scrolls 411. Okay, see, I'm over 5 foot. I am over 5 foot. Ergo, no you. You're shorter than my attention span. No. I exist. That's the difference. Your attention span does not exist, Zeph. Okay, well that's just rude, game. You're still all short to me. No. I am not short. The game has not given me another 3 vein. I thought I'd walked past one real quick. Therefore, I am not short. We've been over this. If I get another supposedly rare 3 vein, I will accept it. Until then, get wrecked. Alright, chat, I will be right back. I have to get Mama Vixie some corn chips. Don't ask me why that's what she wanted right now, but it is. Alright, chat, I am sorry. I'm back.
That scared me.
I had to go get her grapes instead because we're out of corn chips. I don't know, dude. I just work here. Alright. Back down the mines again.
Are you still looking for ancient debris?
Yeah, I'm at 10.
Oh.
I also found another fortress.
What is that?
A building where you can loot stuff.
Ooh.
Oh, hello. The fortress is that way. I would recommend having a sword.
You know, I don't think I'm gonna fuck with it, honestly.
That's fair.
I'm just here to get debris with you.
How many are you at?
I only got one.
Okay, so we have 11 in total. This person's addicted to smelling her dad's underwear? What the fuck?
Oh? That's nasty.
Dude, I have my dad's clothes after he passed. And I kid you not, we found a singular pair of underwear in the laundry today, and I asked Zeph if it was his after I picked it up, which was my first mistake. And he was like, no, that was your dad's, and I just flung it at him. I was like, no, you touch it, not me. You, no thank you. Can that person not exist near me? Thank you. Actually, no, I need that person to come do the rest of my laundry.
What the hell?
No, she can have fun. She can sort my dad's underwear. And then she can leave. Keep in mind, my sister, like, bagged up all of his, like, clothing without, like, sorting it when he passed. And I just got the unopened bags. Which, whenever we moved to Florida, we bagged up our own clothing, and I forgot to label which bags were which. So we had to open some of them. And unfortunately, I never fully unpacked those bags for his, and that's how I got mixed in with ours. Because Zeph kind of just mixed it all together, opening the bags, forgetting that we did that. So, that... The fuck is that laughing noise?
Laughing? Are you okay?
Yeah, it's like a robotic, droning laugh. It's not laughing anymore. Oh, that's weird. Hang on. Okay, it's just random nether music.
Thank God.
I turned the music way down. I would rather listen to Baby No Money on really low volume than continue to listen to that. No offense, chat. Do. Like, okay, Mecca, I know you're watching My Strange Addiction, but holy shit, dude. Like, I thought My Strange Addiction would be like, oh, they're an advanced couponing lady.
No,
some
dude,
shit.
there was this episode that I watched, and it was a lady that literally drank blood.
Oh,
and
what?
It was disgusting.
Ow.
Yes.
That's
Hello.
I just don't want to alarm you, but we might be out of here around 12:15.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Well, Mama Vixie requests us pick up cigarettes. It's you can't make this stuff up kind of strange. I can see that stuff.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to give you the quick little.
Well, I appreciate
Okay.
that. Am I picking you up or...
I mean, I could have Damien take me. But I don't know. Well,
The-
hold on. Let me ask him real quick.
That's up to you guys. I just am asking for my own purposes. Do.
All right. I told Damien whenever we initially made the agreement for your Taco Bell, I told him you went above and beyond. He said he is extremely proud of you.
Yay! Damien's proud of
And he
me.
was also wanting Taco Bell anyways, so we'll get Taco Bell for you, so you
Yay.
can keep on going.
I'm just
So-
glad nobody's taking me up on the Dr. Pepper Peep sub goal.
I would like the Dr. Pepper Peach sub goal to be hit because I am very curious on trying them. But anyway, take it away, wifey.
Yay! Oh, he left again. Damn.
Dr. Pepper peeps sound kind of good.
I hate Peeps with a burning passion, that's the thing.
Oh no.
I don't like Peeps at all. They are way too sweet for me. But I saw them when I was getting Peeps from my mother, so I was like, you know what, then make a good sub goal.
How many subs do you need?
I set it for 10 and Tanner resubbed, so 9. Mochi, don't you dare. I was about to say, the way you ask that, don't you dare. A subs goal? No, a goal in the terms of subs, not like... I mean, math check. Hey, stuff, you know damn well I am not a sub. I am not a 6-inch.
Crying obsidian?
I don't know what it does. It's a skelly behind you. Do you take off your gold?
I don't think so.
Well, maybe you accidentally hit one or something. Is Mochi getting bullied by the piglins? Nope, it was the skeleton.
Oh, fuck.
Come on, ancient debris.
I love street chalupas so much.
Can't do the regular chalupas. It has to be cheesy gordita crunches for me.
I've always been a chalupa girly.
What's weird is the chalupa shells are literally just the like like they're the fried version of the gordita shells. Something about how they fry them just gets me. I don't know why. I also can't eat creamy jalapeno for the same, like, because I worked there and I saw how it was made. I will not spoil for anybody here who enjoys it.
Oh, I'm so curious.
Well, do you actively enjoy eating it? Like, would it be detrimental to you to to find out?
No.
Okay. Is there anybody in chat who, like, weirdly loves the creamy jalapeno sauce before I continue? I feel like somebody's gonna be like, I enjoy it, but I need to know this. I will say it's not as bad as, like, anybody might be thinking. It's not as bad. I still won't eat it because of it. But
So curious.
oh, I'm gonna give it a second, then I'll tell you. Okay, well, it's been a minute. So, least at the Taco Bell I worked at, they had to mix jalapeno juice into, like, the sauce base for it, because all the sauces are, like, pre-made and heated up. I don't know if it was, like, our franchise or what. But when we mixed in the jalapeno juice, it would curdle for, like, the first 30 seconds of mixing it. And that just made me gag so badly. I was like, never again.
That's gross.
Like, okay, so it eventually did emulsify into the sauce. But I guess it's the acidity of the jalapeno juice into the cream-based sauce is what does it.
You know, I'm okay. I'm glad I don't eat that.
Dude, I didn't even like it to begin with. And then I was like, never mind. And that just forcefully comes back to the forefront of my mind whenever I have to see that, like, if they leave it on a thing for me. I will say the spicy ranch is safe. It does not get the weird curdle treatment.
I
Spicy-
think that's what I'm eating right now. I think that's the one I think is pretty lit.
Spicy ranch, it's literally just seasoned ranch. I wish. Okay, so, like, fun thing with the sour cream there also comes pre-done, but they have them in, like, fucking Starbucks. You know the whipped cream canisters from Starbucks?
Mm-hmm.
So it sprays out. They have them in the same style canisters, at least at the Taco Bell I worked at.
Aren't they kind of like Colt guns?
Kind of, like, they're pressurized and they have a little trigger. It's so they, like, get the
Sounds
fluffy, like, the fluffy shape with it for the sour cream. Because otherwise it kind of just melts a little bit and it gets all sad and depressing. Bone serpent. What in the fresh fuck is that?
Excuse me?
Excuse the hell out of me, what is a bone serpent? That sounds like a bad porno. What is a bone serpent?
Oh my god.
You can't tell me that that does not sound like a bad porno name.
It does.
What the hell is a bone serpent? Steph, come back, we need answers. I can. You can confirm. It sounds like, oh my god. Sounds like a great one to use stuff. Okay, but that doesn't answer my question of like, what the hell is a bone serpent? And should I be worried that one roared near me? This is not a $5 foot long situation.
Oh,
I'm just digging my tunnels. Looking for funny colored block. That's not the funny colored block I want, game. I think my luck's run out for ancient debris.
I'm coming back.
Literally, my logic for the pattern I'm mining in is I go 2 blocks over to start my next tunnel because 1 block is just the block I can see on the left. And obviously, if one face isn't ancient debris, the back is magically not going to be ancient debris. Jinx is playing with a Christmas ornament under my desk. Oh dear lord. So, like, why would I look at the same block again? If that makes sense.
That's true. That's smart.
Yeah. I have brain cells. It may not sound like it right now, but I do. I've been getting tongue-tied all day. Jinx, have fun with the— oh god, he's discovered the heater exists. Never mind, he's back to the Christmas ornament. He stopped and stared, like, directly at it for a minute, like, what is this, mother? There we go. Ow. Something hurts. Yeah, a no wonder game. Ooh, there's a blaze. Ow. Yeah, give me your blaze rod. Now, where is the hole that I just came out of? There we are. I hear a ghast. Table. Can you stop playing with the kitty that close to my chair? I'm so worried Sable's gonna, like, unplug the router or some shit.
Oh no.
Because she's, like, under my
Mhm.
desk, like, hitting my chair. Table, please. I beg. Chat can probably hear her. Discord probably can't. Because my noise suppression is different. You know, do we have enough sheep? I have a stupid idea.
I think I have 3 if you need more.
Like sheep.
Uh,
So beds explode in the nether, and I'm almost wondering. Nah, TNT might be easier, but I'd have to get a bunch of gunpowder. I'm gonna recalibrate VTube Studio real quick. That way I'm not like looking off to the side like I am. There we go. Oh, the weird music happened again.
bloodstone?
I have no clue what that is. I found some earlier. Zeph said not to worry about it. Ancient debris, yay! And it was not a vein of it. Get fricked, chat. I made chat a promise while you were gone that if I found another 3 vein of ancient debris, because that would be my 3rd one, I would admit to being short.
Oh, fuck, man. It's okay, you are short.
I am
you don't
not.
have to admit to it.
I'm not short. How long have I just been straight up dropping my netherrack for? Oh, not very long.
Oh.
I had a full inventory, dude. Called the fuck out. No, no, no. No, no, no. Mochi's just very tall.
Yeah.
So everybody's short.
Including you.
To you.
No, you're just short in general.
I am not.
What do you have against being short, man? I wish I was short.
Because I'm not short.
God.
I refuse. Stuff is asking if Mochi is all legs.
I'm mostly torso, not gonna lie.
I feel like I am. No, I'm mostly a leg. Zeph's got the higher torso. That's why he has to have the seats close to the steering wheel. Everybody's short on their knees. I mean, you're right. Everybody is. Because they're all scrunched up like that. I am getting tired of gravel in the nether.
Right?
Isn't this supposed to be hell? You know what? That tracks. I don't like gravel. If this is supposed to be hell, gravel would be in my own personal hell. Like, okay, so my parents had a horrible gravel driveway as I was growing up, that my car would always get ditched at least once a summer Like, I expect Vixie to grovel in hell. No! If I was in hell, I'd be running the damn thing. I would not be groveling there. No. Why do you think I'd be groveling? But I fucking hate gravel driveways because of my parents' driveway. Because, like, it was about a half mile long and 3/4 of it was gravel. So the rain would wash all the gravel down to the bottom. It was awful.
That's a big ass driveway.
Oh no, after stream and like after we get my mom's cigarettes, remind me to pull it up on Google Earth and I will show you. Because we lived on a
Okay.
giant hill.
Ooh.
I wish the realtor hadn't taken down the listings they took when they showed my parents' house for sale. Actually, they might not have. I just might be dumb and can't find the listing anymore. Showing houses. That's a long drive. It was. We lived up on a fucking hill. No, I'm talking about like showing like off my parents' old house, hon. The one that we could have had my sister not been a bitch. The old house. Yeah, the old house. I just don't want to dox my old address on stream because I technically still live near there. But Mochi has seen my actual address, so you're fine.
Yeah, I'm special.
Listen, if you ever want to like find my info, just ask Mochi really nicely.
Girl, what the fuck? You think I'm just gonna hand it over?
No, I know you tell him no. You'd be like 123 Get Fricked Street.
Fuck yeah, get fricked.
Mega does also have my address and my phone number. Both of you do. Mega has sent things to my house.
Ooh.
I bet Zeph knows where you live too. Yes. Just ask Zeph for his address and then you'll have mine. Yeah, no. Mega has given me a minor heart attack. Because when... Okay. I think I've told you this off stream before. The potato thing, Mega did to another streamer. And then around my birthday, Mega got our friend group those plushies. Number, your home address, make and model of the cars, the keys to your home, and also your car. Yeah, Zeph has my debit card right now. Which isn't saying much considering we share a debit card. So his debit card is my debit card. Sable.
Sable, get fricked.
Ow. Do not paw at me right now, Sable. No, no, I know you want to play. I know you want to play. Don't, you're playing too rough with the kitty. That's why I was saying your name. She's like, but mom, kitty.
What is your go-to Taco Bell order?
The bunny. Oh, fuck. I read Mega's message as you said that. A cheesy gordita crunch with chicken instead of beef, no spicy ranch, and add nacho cheese.
Ooh.
Thanks, Tiff. The bunny is amazing. Yes. I love the bunny. It's still on my bed. Yay, I found more ancient debris.
Dude, you're on a fucking roll.
Hey, I found another 2 vein. Let's see, is there gonna be a third one behind this? There was not. I'm
Yeah.
safe.
Fuck.
I've also been dropping netherrack again. Fuck. Oh, because I have a lot of gold. Treats for Jinx. Jinx is not here at the moment. Please leave a message. I'm kidding. I'll get him a
Poor
treat.
cat. That's heckin' right.
He is not a poor cat. Tiff? Oh, Tiff is on my computer, actually. Oh, you're just spamming him for everybody. You know what? At that point, I'll give it to him when you get home. Yeah, if you're gonna spam it for everybody, probably minus Binks, then
What do you got against Binks?
she's in my mom's room.
Oh,
Like, she is out for the count for the night. I'm waiting for the Binks to pop up. Yep, there's Binks. Yeah. Nice. Not the ghost hiss again. Oh. Into the backpack we go for the crafting table. Oh, here, it could be low volume on my end. Why is OBS making me seem like I don't have points on my own channel? You know, that would make sense. The bot did not reconnect to... I must go eat more in my passing. We will miss you, Stuff. Have good eeps.
goodbye, stuff.
Now I gotta go through and refund points for any sounds. Do. Mm.
I'm from fucking Florida.
I'm from Florida. There, now you get that one. Reject, 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 reject. And then everything else should be non-audio complete all. Yay! So many people, you heartbreaker. No, no, no. I'm saving your points. I'm giving them back to you. That's not the same thing as the I gave you my heart, like, and the very next day you gave it away. Oh my god, I have so many gold nuggets.
I lost connection. What the
Oh
heck?
no. I was about to say, I just saw you come online. I like to imagine a reject, reject, reject. It's probably how you answer so many messages in high school. No, it was the opposite. Oh? You left and joined? Oh, it just finally disconnected you. Where you lost connection before? The server might...
Man.
me pull up the server console. Oh, it did not get. Do.
Is it looking bad?
Not bad enough to restart.
Okay.
It just thought you logged in from another location real quick.
Oh, that's weird.
Weird. I swear, Mama Vixie. Alright, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back.
Welcome back.
But yeah, no. That is how people answered my messages.
I don't believe you.
What, the reject thing? That absolutely is. Also, I forgot to cancel my PO box again. Yay.
Girl, you is fine shit.
No, I was the weird kid in high school. I've told you guys about my ex. My ex being the reason I was the weird kid in high school.
I mean, we're VTubers, so like, I think that's just how it is. Weird kid become VTuber.
I feel like if I didn't have my ex back then, I would have been fine. A little cringe, but like, not like weird cringe.
Can you go into detail about what that means?
So like, after like the thing we were talking about in internals the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Why do I have this weird block on my screen? That specifically.
Mm,
Like everybody could kind of tell that it wasn't my idea.
sorry.
Oh, you're good. I'm just gonna assume this block lives here now. Actually, wait, I'm gonna relog to get rid of it. But no, that's mostly why. My ex was very controlling. I was not allowed to have certain friends. And those friends were the ones that would call my ex out. I forgot to start the YouTube stream 3 hours ago. Well, while we're loading train, I'm gonna call some bingo. I've had a snack all stream. Give you guys handcuffed because, you know. I don't think I've died though, so y'all aren't getting that. The weird block is still on my screen. Did you disconnect again? Oh. Mochi? Mochi's gone. Internet died. Damn. I'm all alone. I'm so lonely. Oh god, the Bone Serpent's back. I'm not that lonely, Mr. Bone Serpent. Yeah. Alright, if I don't find another one soon, I think I'm gonna raid out. Because it must be kinda boring watching me just hunt for ancient debris. I think almost all of stream. But hey, we yapped. We had fun. Oh, let's see. Do-do-do. Yay. Purge movie, I wonder if you can play bingo without the characters might die. Honestly, I haven't watched the first Purge movie. Like, I haven't watched any of them. I only recently watched Halloween for the first time. And Silent Hill. Evening, how's everyone doing? I'm doing good, Melodon. How are you? Hope you're doing good. I'm just hunting ancient debris. Winding down for the evening? Heck yeah. Snacking on some blueberries? I'm snacking on some blackberries. Yay for berries. Bed bombing in the nether? I am not. I am just strip mining. Because this was my very first time ever hunting for ancient debris. Yay, Mochi's back.
Oh, that was scary.
Mochi's alive. Fun, fun. Yay. I have gotten 13. And I'm surprised I've gotten 2 3 veins back to back. I told Chad if I got another or 3 vein before stream ends, I will admit to being short. That hasn't happened yet.
Girl.
I am not short. I may be short to you.
That still means you're short.
No, no, no. That does not mean I'm short.
Dude,
That just
I
means
wanna
I'm
meet you
short.
IRL so bad just to see how short you are next to me.
What I'm hearing is if I hear you coming towards Ohio, I start driving north. A lot of people are short compared to me. See, that doesn't mean they're short. That just means Meladon is taller than them. That just means I am shorter than Meladon. Not that I'm short. Shorter.
Whatever makes you happy.
Not finding another 3 vein of this stuff would make me happy, so I don't have to admit it.
Man, I really hope you find a 3 vein.
Again. Ah. I forgot I put the ghost hiss on the shout out command. Which thank you for giving him a shout out, Mega. I'm literally just holding left click. Want to see something? Oh, that's terrifying words coming from Mega. This is either going to be the squish or the boob command, if that even still works. You know what? I should probably look and see if that's still... Oh, did Mochi die again? Oh, it's squish. Yep, it's boob related. I was right. Yeah, no, mods have a exclamation point booba command, and I don't... It used to play a gif of my VTuber boobs bouncing. And I don't know if I completely got rid of it or not. It's like mod plus. Mega would have to try it, or me. Actually, I don't know if Mega could, because I think I gave it, let me check OBS. It does not play anymore. I'm in an ad, this is bad timing. It doesn't play anymore, Mochi, it's fine.
No. I can't get into the server.
I can restart the server real quick.
It
Yeah.
says connection timed out. Get sock OPT.
Handle disconnection calls twice. That's weird. Well, we're gonna stop the server real quick. While we've got ads going.
It may be an internet issue because Moji also can't get into RuneScape.
I don't know, because the console was saying something about disconnect called twice.
Mm.
So that may be. Why does Twitch keep pausing when I click on a different tab? Okay, that time it worked. So it's if I click on a tab in the same window. Different selections and stalker and he's lining up my mentions. Oh god, why am I going so fast back and forth?
Man, poor Cassie.
Huh?
Poor Cassie. Not feeling good.
No. I'm sorry to Cassie. I thought you said gassy at first, and I was like, what?
What the fuck?
Okay. To do. Oh, I just joined before the server was ready. Oopsie. It's fine.
Mochi managed to get into RuneScape, so maybe I can get in the server.
Well, it just finished loading, so.
This shit takes forever to load up.
I know. That's my least favorite thing about the mod pack. It just takes so long. We do the more mining. I feel like at some point I should stop.
No, this is your life now.
Just mining out the nether. Finding all the ancient debris I can. Holding left click and W. No Sable. No. Get fricked. Ah.
That's right. Oh no.
Yeah, no, she's starting to realize get fricked is nothing more than a weird word.
What is happening? I'm gonna try to restart my computer, I guess.
Okay.
Be back soon.
Hurry back. Yeah, Sable, get fricked. Yeah. Okay. Ow. Oh, ow. Chat. So no. I'm being attacked by my dog. Not literally. She thinks it's playtime. Sable. You're a good girl. I am like loving on the dog. Alright, go lay down. Oh, no, you want my blackberries. That's what you want. No. You sneaky girl. Sable just ran away like, mother will not give me the blackberries. Sable metaphorically packed her little rucksack and ran. I still want to know what a bone serpent is. I think like Zeph has abandoned me. I would have so many questions that could be answered by one person. Let's see. Is there anything else in the... F3 and G. Hi, Queen. Welcome in. It's going good. Trunk borders. How are you? Ah, how Oshi, hello. Welcome in, Raiders. How was Requiem? Guys, if you haven't already checked out Oshi, I highly recommend you do. Celestial Raid, yay! But how was Requiem? Welcome in, everybody. If you haven't seen me before, I'm Vixie. I'm a horror variety streamer, and we are doing Minecraft. Ah, there's F. Hello.
Hi. You want your usual?
Yes, please. Also, what's a
You wanna
bone
f-
serpent?
Good fucking question. I don't know. Do you want to freeze as well?
Yes, please.
Okay, bye.
Yay. Bye. Good to see you on Twitch. Yay. How's stream going so far? It's going good. And Hoshi, if you have to raid and run, please take care of yourself. Thank you for bringing your community over. I feel like I've been in the same zone for like 84 years. I feel that with the sewers and 2. I haven't played Requiem yet. I'm trying to get through Resident Evil 2 before I do. Also, welcome back, Mochi. Sure. Sure I can join? Huh? I'm not playing with viewers right now. I'm sorry. Oh, there's more? I feel that. Really like your model? Thank you. Is it custom? It is not. It is a Twin Tails customizable model. But I did the texture edits myself. But yeah, no, this is just the Spirit Vale custom server. So we're not really playing with randoms.
Sorry.
Sorry for party rocking.
Oh my god.
Let's get your own. Actually, I have one in the works, and I can tell you are a art bot, so
Damn.
get fucked. Make some amazing models. It looks really good. Heck yeah, thank you. I DM'd Zeph like the moment she was like, I can join. And I was like, please. I was like, please. Because that was very weird. And then they asked about the model, like plans to get my own. That was my tip off. That it was a bot. Different.
Get evaporated. Yes, I'm back.
I'm gonna feel bad if that was an actual person and they were just making conversation and they submit an unban request. I'm gonna be like, oh no, I'm sorry. Queen Win, if you are an actual person, I'm sorry, but they've gotten so creative. They have. I have had one sit here for like 3 hours of a stream yapping about Marvel Rivals. Like all the things you can think of. And then just bam, towards the end of stream, they were like, well, I do 3D models and custom graphics. And I was like, sorry, I'm not planning on getting a new one. And they got so angry that they wasted like 3 hours talking to me. I wish I had that VOD still. That was funny. Zeph was in VC. E for it. And I was like, no thank you. I don't know why I just placed a torch up there. No shot. Yeah, no, it was like, oh yeah, I made Moon Knight. And I was like, oh, I don't really want to learn Moon Knight. We were yapping. Damn. Mochi got fricked.
Don't look. Don't look. What the fuck is going on my screen? Well, that was weird.
Oh, I'm like one extra.
Oh shit, that's not where I want to be. Oh, get me out of here, like now.
I promise there's a method to the madness and just aimlessly mining. There is a plan here. Is it a good plan? I don't know. But it is a plan. Leviathan.
What the fuck?
I didn't know this was Subnautica.
Is Subnautica a horror game?
I think so. It's like a horror game themed about the ocean, but apparently we were playing it, a lava version, in Minecraft. My favorite thing to do with the bots, though, like the art ones, back to that real quick, is when I have like a mod in chat actively. Leviathan's cool. I don't trust you. Like when I have more than one active mod in chat, I will hype them up like WWE or some shit to take the art bot out back.
Oh my god.
It's funny when I get Zephyr on it. I like Marvel Rivals at the same time I can't get it grasped. I can play Overwatch. See, I'm the opposite. I can't play Overwatch. I don't know why. I just cannot get my brain around it. But I love Rivals. Nanaru joined? Hello, Nanaru. Subnautica's 100% a horror game if you're scared of the ocean. What do if scared of ocean, but for a weird ass reason? Afraid of the ocean, I can't like past a certain part. I've never played Subnautica. I've seen like clips of it, but they freak me out. Yay, ancient debris. Please don't be a 3 vein. There's a second one.
Is it a 3?
Oh, I thought it was a 3 for a second.
Fuck.
You really want me to admit this. Okay, so like I am afraid of the ocean in the sense of I'm not gonna get into the specific trauma because I feel like that would bring stream way down. But there's like a trauma reason, and then on top of that, certain fish freak me the hell out. I hate places where I can't see the end. That's the ocean. That's fair. That is valid. I just have seen very horrifying looking fish down there, and if the trauma hadn't happened and I didn't know they existed, I would not scream like a little bitch when a piece of seaweed touches my foot.
Oh my god, I'm the same way.
Oh no. Yeah, Nana's on the server. Okay, so Leviathan grumbles. God, we are like playing lava fucking Subnautica here. Why? Oh, I should hurry up. And I feel like Zeph's already home, but hasn't like come inside yet.
Hello, Seth.
I feel like that's what. Oh, I should hurry up and get Taco Bell. Yes, you should hurry with my Taco Bell, sir. Oops, of the ocean, I'm not a fan. We getting Taco Bell now? Good. We're at 15 ancient debris.
That's fucking crazy. I've only seen one.
Zeph was like, yeah, get 2 per person in an hour and I'll get you Taco Bell. And I found like what? 8 by the time the hour was up. I feel like I'm averaging like 8 per hour because I'm like slightly into the 3rd hour and I'm at 15. But I also had to go AFK to help Mama Vixie, so. It's literally not even commitment. I'm just like, hold clef click, yap to chat. Thing I do anyways. When I play Rivals, I'm like, left click with Scarlet Witch or Luna Snow. DBD, it's hold W and pray I don't get got. I'm running out of room to go back and forth too, that's the sad thing. Because this way there's a bunch of Nether Fortress. We might be out of... Oh no, I can go this way now. Zeph probably did not expect us to get this far.
No.
I guarantee you,
is
he
that
thought
thing?
we would not. Wait, no, that's a Zeph thing to do. Ploy, give me a bet that I think I can't hit, but he knows I can. Just to be able to get Taco Bell. That is a Zeph thing to do.
I believe it, honestly.
Zeph, you've been caught. You just want a Taco Bell. But you wanted me to agree to Taco Bell.
What are you? Are you a spawner?
I'm gonna click into your stream. I can't even tell what you're looking at. Well, one way to find out.
I guess I'm walking up to it. Oh, shit.
This must be a sign.
Hello? Are y'all hostile?
Get closer and see if they start coming towards you. I think those might be hoglins. If they're hoglins, you can throw gold at them and they'll trade.
Hmm. Hello?
Oh, that's the thingy I found earlier. There was a chest in the center of it.
Oh.
I think I just mined... Oh no, that's the same thing I found, just different. Yeah, there's a chest in it. There's also gold. No wonder Zeph said it wasn't that bad. There's the chest.
Lame ass chest.
Found diamonds on mine.
What the fuck? I was kind
E.
of hoping there was like a better chest in there. Do you want this? Take. Oops, take. I don't think they like my gold nuggets.
Damn.
I'm offended.
How dare they? If they're piglins, though, they won't trade. It's hoglins specifically that trade.
Ah. I'll take your lamp though. Thank you. Oh, more gold. What? Ooh. There's like trees. I did not expect to see trees down here.
Oh yeah, there can be.
They have pretty vines. Ooh,
I'm just
vines and stuff.
cleaning out my inventory again. We're gonna hit this. Hey, ancient debris. Does not look like a vein, unfortunately, for Mochi.
No.
It's not a vein. How much ancient? I've got 16, and I think Mochi is still at 1. Hey, there's another one.
Girl, what the fuck?
So I'm at 17. I know I don't need the torches in the nether, but it's nice to have something to break up the monotony of the block colors.
That's true. It's very
Mo-
red in here.
Especially in the netherrack. The same block texture over and over.
Dude, it's so pretty over here.
To do. I don't even want to know how much gold I've gained from this. More soul sand. Okay, I'm gonna look up how to get rid of this cursor thing once I hit the end of this tunnel. That is bugging me pretty badly. I got rid of the weird K thing. Oh, the weird block.
Anything?
So there was a weird
Oh. How'd you get rid of
block.
that?
I hit K again. That's how I got it in the first place, was I hit K too many times. Well, I hit it like,
Oh.
and it popped up like, oh, blocks that you place will face you or whatever. So I hit it again and it didn't get rid of it. And I guess just hitting it more times solved it.
I don't even know what mission I'm on, man. I want to find more of these blocks, but I keep getting distracted.
Dude, have fun exploring the Nether. This is your first time here. Ah, Zeph scared me.
Hello, sir.
Oh, I thought he joined the VC. He scared me with the ghost hiss redeem. Per usual for him.
I'm from fucking Florida.
You are not from Florida, Zeph. You are from Ohio. You are from the land of the corn. You were raised by the corn. You were molded by it. Me, on the other
Is
hand,
Ohio known for corn?
I thought we were.
I don't know, honestly.
All I know from Ohio is corn, and any Ohioan I've said that to is not. Oh, yes, okay, thank you, Hoshi. I was about to say, any Ohioan I have said that to has not corrected me, so. Corn. I thought I lost my crafting table for a second. I was about to cry internally. I hear Damien's
You
truck.
should make the backpack upgrade for crafting table.
There's one for this.
For the backpack?
There is one. What?
Yeah. Just like search backpack and then it's like which one is it? Crafting upgrade. It looks like a bunch of squares.
2 iron, an upgrade base. Okay, I'll have to do that later when I get back to the thing.
Yeah.
Wait, Hoshi, are you a fellow Ohioan if you're comfortable saying? Is that why you're agreeing with me? I feel like this is about to be a yes. Oh, I hear Zeph. I hear him in the house.
Is it time
I
for
fear
Taco Bell?
it is, but I fear Sable has gotten herself into more trouble.
Oh no.
Right.
Sable,
Got a very bad girl.
please.
Sable, what'd you do?
She on the trash can again. Ate the rest of your sausage gravy.
Oh. I hear myself in Zeph's phone.
Oh shoot, oh shoot, oh shoot, oh shoot. Oh no 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 no.
You know, just moved from a different state. Lived here for about a month. Partners from Ohio, though. Welcome to Ohio.
This is the land of corn. I mean corn.
That too.
Oh my goodness.
I'm sorry you chose to move here, though. My condolences.
I'm confused. Why did I take
Well,
no
I got
damage
2
from
and already
that?
ate 1.
My P.O. box accidentally renewed at $24.
I'm gonna be real. I am not a fan of
Stop it.
Ohio.
I am also not a fan of Ohio. Sounds like my dogs when they get in the litter box, I can spell. Oh no, Sable gets into everything, Hoshi. You name it. I can't tell if I've taken one of my meds today. I feel like I have. But you know what?
We doubling up.
I also didn't change the lid to the upper part or not, so.
Oh.
Because I have one of those lids that can flip to a child unsafe version. I'm gonna go grab a regular drink on top of my freeze.
Man, I wish I got the confetti cookie freeze now.
Okay, I'm back. Sounds accurate since my dogs do the same. I feel like that's a universal dog thing. Sable. I'm not protecting you.
You did this to yourself.
She's like, mother, father is mad at me. Send help. Thank you. They're small, but doesn't stop them from getting it in the trash can or on the dining room tables. Okay, so it's not just my dog that gets on tables.
Hey, Joseph.
No,
Hey,
father would
Zeph.
be pissed the fuck off if there was a lot more trash on the ground.
She probably just got the sausage gravy and stopped.
Probably. I haven't observed too closely because I am hungry.
Oh, your cat stinks.
I'm sorry. I have a fluffy fuck who's trying to steal my cheesy gordita crunch.
See, Hoshi, our dog is a black lab German shepherd mix. And she is the sneakiest bitch you've ever seen. This dog, despite weighing like 55 pounds, can get on our kitchen table and our kitchen counter without us hearing it from the next room. In fact, most of the times we don't hear her crimes. We find them later after she's committed them. The only reason we know it's her is the plate or whatever she got into is intact. If the cats did it, it wouldn't be broken. Hun, do you disagree?
I do not disagree.
The cats just give zero fucks about if the thing remains intact after they've had their fun with it. Sable's like, I just don't want to get caught, but I want the yummy.
No. No.
Is
Fuck
Jinx,
off.
is Jinx begging? 18-pound one can't jump that high.
Bro, get the fuck down. I will send you to Jesus.
Air jail?
No.
No.
Hey,
Hey, more ancient debris.
listen here, buddy. Listen here. I have no problem taking you to go see the vet
No.
and having your balls cut.
He's gonna have that done soon anyways. He's got about another month.
Yep, and he's about to go off my desk.
He's about to be no more trouble puffs. She's a chunk. Listen, Sable is... Okay, I'm surprised that I can hear the cats across the house. Like, cleanly across the house. If a cat sneezes in the other end of the house, because my office is in the back end of the house. Because we live in a trailer. If she sneezes in the kitchen, I know which cat it was, and I know where exactly they're standing. However, the dog, if I don't see her, she doesn't exist. I have no clue if that makes sense. She is just so quiet.
Ninja dog.
She's so quiet on her own. I can't. We have 6 cats, and I have learned all of their footsteps. Binks and Jinx are the only ones I have not fully learned. And that is because they are roughly the same age. Just Binks is smaller than Jinx. Hey, hun, are you still watching stream?
I am.
Can tell the difference between the dogs when they eat, drink, or sneeze, right? Like, I cannot tell you how easy it is to tell my cats apart. Also, this is all my mining I have done.
I see.
That was where I started, kind of went down and around, and then I've just been back and forth.
I have just officially made full netherite armor.
Damn. Oh, hello. Ow, ow.
Now I need to get full mending. That guy, 36 emeralds.
Forever on fire? Yes. My elytra's fully repaired, though, from all of this. Alright, chat. I feel like this is a good spot for me to end it. Not literally. I mean, like, for stream. I'm not just gonna yeet myself back into... Ooh, I pulled that off. That was smooth. Damn it. So I can eat my Taco Bell in peace. I think we are gonna raid out. Back to chatting while I find somebody. Let me put up the raid command. Hopefully it updated with the new emotes. It did, yay. Got that copied. There's one for if you do and don't have my emotes.
Am I in peaceful? What is going on?
No, things just don't spawn like that in the Nether.
No, I'm not taking damage from this magma block.
That's weird. Wait. I'm gonna have to check that when we're done. I think we're gonna raid Solora yet again. No, I don't want to search. Ay. Hit the wrong button, so...
Difficulty is peaceful right now.
Oh, fuck. That was not supposed to be peaceful. Well,
Yep.
I will fix it. Anyways, bye guys. Thank you for hanging out with me. Have a good night. I see you
Yay.
tomorrow.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.